Hi guys, welcome to this video about weather and climate in the Tampa Bay area in Florida, USA. This video is actually intended for people who are thinking to move in this area and they don't want to choose their residence based on job or something like that, but just based on the weather. Maybe there are people around who are looking for the perfect weather. And so if you are not living in Tampa Bay area, or you are not intended to do that, or you are not interested in weather at all, so that's definitely not the video for the video for you. But if you are looking for the perfect space in this area with the perfect weather suitable for you, so this is exactly the video for you. So it will be probably a little bit lengthy. I hope it's not gonna be too long, but so I make it a little bit short at the beginning. I give some kind of short version, and after that I will go into detail. So what's really interesting here, we have some kind of island. It's not a perfect island here, but it's really close to an island, and we have the bay, the Tampa Bay itself. So there's a lot of water here, and so that makes it really special. It's different from probably anywhere in Florida. So the thing is, we have mainly two different parts. Of course, we have the coastal area, like always, somehow comparable, of course, to other locations down in Sarasota, Fort Myers, Naples, also on the East Coast, which is even a little bit more different. But of course, there you also have the coastal area and the inland areas. So of course, the coastal areas are more influenced by the water. So in the winter it's a little bit warming up, in the summer it's a little bit cooling down somehow, and you don't have the same amount of rain. So usually along the coast it's much drier than inland, and inland you have much more extremely temperatures. So especially in winter can go down really low, and in summertime it can get really hot. So that's the main difference. And along the coast it's more like a little bit more even and not so extreme, but the humidity can be a little bit higher along the coast. But a lot of people which I have met, they tell me it's more comfortable along the coast, because there's not only the cooling effect of the sea, there's also most of the time a sea breeze going on, which is not so strong inland. So that's it for the short version, and now I'm getting to the long version and trying to get into details. So I have about 30 pictures which I have made, screenshots from my phone over the past 5 years, with some really interesting temperatures, precipitation, special storm situation, and those things. So here we start with a situation that was in April, and what's really interesting is that is around midnight, so not during the day, it was at night, and there was I think it was after a cold front, and you can see, unfortunately it's Celsius, so it's not Fahrenheit, it's Celsius, but you can see from the blue means really cold. I mean the 7 means that's about 44 degrees, while we had here along the coast it was close to 70 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's a huge difference in temperature, but that was a really extreme situation in mid-April. The water of the ocean was already quite warm, not super warm, but a little bit elevated, and so it kept the whole coastal area warm, or at least warmer than the inland area. So I haven't seen such a huge temperature difference for a long time. I think it was the most extreme situation. So yeah, here almost freezing point, and here almost bathing, or I mean almost summer, not really, but I mean much warmer. So this can happen, but usually this difference you have only during a really short time, like in autumn and in spring, when the water is still warm, because the water here, the ocean is not very deep, so it doesn't keep the warm temperature really long. When temperature drops in autumn, the temperature drops pretty fast, and unfortunately it's not that it's heating up pretty fast because it's shallow. For some reason it stays actually usually quite cool for a long time, almost until May at least. So in some years it happened. This year it was already warm, so first time in February and again in April and in May anyway. So that's the first picture. Next picture, you can see that's the same thing. As you can see, we had the warmest temperature here, even warmer than down in Miami or whatsoever. Here almost freezing point, and we had still 21 degree Celsius and about 70 degree Fahrenheit. This was absolutely crazy. But usually you have a trend. I mean, when the cold weather is coming down from the north, we have it cooler a little bit in the north, then we have mixed in the middle, and the warmest in the south. It is, of course, 90% it is like this in spring or winter or autumn. There's not much to do about that. It's just they have the warmer water, they have more sun, I mean the stronger sun, and yeah, that's it. So yeah, it can be quite a difference. So here the temperature difference is about 20 degrees Fahrenheit. That can happen, but usually it's not so much, of course. So here we have the situation end of May last year, and as you can see, that was again same thing. End of May, probably the last cold front, and still much warmer temperatures around the water. If you like that, that could be something for you. So that's an extreme situation as well. Unfortunately, not a really nice picture. But yeah, they had a hard freeze up to the north, freeze inland, and close to the coast there was nothing. But of course it's a little bit extreme here. I mean, there are areas inside the St. Petersburg Isle which probably had some kind of frost as well. So it doesn't, the water around here doesn't keep the whole peninsula here warm. It simply doesn't work. But apart from that, and I will show you which part is a little bit favored. So here what we have, that was east wind, of course. That's a really important thing. How much do we have wind from the east and how much from the west? I think it's about 50% from west, 50% from the east. I don't have the real numbers, but I think it's probably about that. And it's a huge difference, of course. If you have wind from the east, then the west is warmer. If you have wind from the west, then the east coast is warmer. It's as simple as that. I've been comparing this a little bit to the south, not much to tell about that. So what we have here, what you can clearly see, this is winter. I mean, this is January, and we had a really hot day. I mean, it was almost, it was 80 degrees inland, and at the coast it was maybe 70 or something like that, really cold. If you were close to the beach, or really if you made a walk along the beach, you definitely would need a jacket. And here there were people taking a bath in the pool. I mean, that was a huge temperature difference, and you have this a lot. Even when you see this was actually northeast wind, which was supposed to be warm in this area, but still, when you have such high temperatures in January, you get a sea breeze, and the sea breeze drags the cool air from the cool ocean, because the ocean can get pretty cool in the winter. It's definitely a huge difference between the Atlantic side, I mean the east side, and the Gulf side. I mean, the temperature can drop. I mean, the sea surface temperature can drop really, really, really low. I mean, about to 60, or I think even lower, 55 degrees Fahrenheit, which never happens on the east coast. There it stays much warmer, so that's a huge difference. You have to be aware of that. So here you see a pretty cold day. We have Fahrenheit here, and as you can see, the dark blue is the coldest area, and most of it stayed here to the north, Ocala, this area. But it comes down in the inland, and usually it misses the Tampa Bay area, at least the bay itself and the peninsula here. And sometimes it even goes down to Naples, and sometimes it happens that Naples is even colder than Tampa Bay. But usually during the day they heat up more than Tampa Bay. In winter, in 90% they get more heat during the day, but during the night it can be cooler here than in Tampa Bay. Here you see the difference, a little bit a close-up, and as you can see here we have two areas here with that was probably more north wind in general. Locally you have different wind directions, but you can see there are two areas. One here, that's along the ocean, Indian Rocks Beach, something like that, maybe up to Bel Air, which was a little bit warmer than the inside area, St. Petersburg. That's almost always the warmest spot. If you don't like the cold in the winter, this is the area for you to go. That's the only area actually usually which keeps a little bit warmer. It starts from here, goes all the way down, and the best part is the closer to the city you are, the warmer it is. Sometimes the cold even gets to this area, so that's the best protected area here. If you don't like really cold, that's the thing for you. Here you can see that was freezing temperatures. Even mid-March it was below, it was some frost, and here St. Petersburg had still 52. Huge temperature difference. And here I think not much to see. It was a little bit warming up, and here I think we have the one situation in spring. It was April 18th, when we had still some cool water in the Gulf, and also a little bit along the Atlantic, which is a little bit surprising. But as you can see probably on the next picture, that we had along the coast cooler temperatures than even in North Carolina in spring. That's crazy. As you can see, these areas here, Palm Harbor, Dunedin, Clearwater, Indian Rocks Beach, Madeira Beach, St. Pete Beach, all these things were definitely much cooler, or at least cooler than up in North Carolina, which is really crazy. But yeah, happens. You have to know what you have to expect. That can happen. I mean, usually April is the last month when we have quite some cool downs along the coast. In May usually it doesn't happen, or it's just a few degrees, then it's not much. But you can see even down in Naples, it was the same date. Down in Naples they had exactly same thing, which is really surprising in Naples, because they have the sea surface temperature is a couple of degrees warmer than in Tampa Bay, definitely. Here, same date, probably a little bit later in the day, 7 o'clock p.m. So the heat went back to the inland areas, and all the coastal areas got the sea breeze and quite some cool down. Here again, then same thing during the night, but just vice versa. As you can see, then the warm sea temperatures kept the coastal areas a little bit warmer, but not so much. Same thing here, same again during the night. That was after midnight, and you can see these areas warmer as always, and the coastal areas as well. So that's a little bit later, and the temperature difference is still a little bit here, but it's really small, the temperature difference. So in May there's not much left from the difference. So here we have the situation in October, where you see that the Tampa Bay area, the water keeps the peninsula a little bit warmer than the rest, even down to Sarasota, something like that, was probably cooler than the peninsula here. Yeah, same thing, October 30th, so you can see which areas were still a little bit warmer. I mean, here we had quite some really cool temperatures already, and I mean it was early in the morning, yeah, I think. Yes, same date again, and it was also, yeah, also in the morning. As you can see, the warm ocean here kept the whole thing a little bit warmer, and here also a little bit, and you can clearly see that temperatures here were lower than in Tampa Bay. But you have to be on the peninsula here in Tampa, or like all these things towards Lakeland, I-4, this area, and especially up to the north, or Ocala or something like that. That's much cooler. Here we have December 6th, which I mean, it's really hard to get any warmth from the sea. I mean, the temperatures usually, December can be still warm, yeah, but the problem is, if you get a northeast wind, then we don't get a lot of protection. That's just a really tiny area in St. Petersburg, close to downtown, which is a little bit warmer. So the northeast is really the worst. So when we have a cold front, usually we get it from the northwest. That means we stay for some time protected from the water here. That sometimes is for 1 day, 2 days, sometimes even 3 days, depends on the weather situation. We get protection. Unfortunately, I don't have a sample image from that, so there you would see that we get the protection because the air has to go over the whole sea for a very long time, and so in the whole area down here it still keeps it warm compared to this along the coast down to almost West Palm Beach. It's then even colder, especially Daytona, Jacksonville, these areas, and even Orlando are then very, very cold from the beginning, while we still have a little bit warmth in Tampa Bay before the real cold air arrives. And when the coldest air arrives, which coming from the north or even northeast like here, then you see there's no protection for the Tampa Bay area, unfortunately, apart this really tiny spot in St. Petersburg. Same thing here, I think there's no difference. Yeah, again you can see here protected areas, December 12th, really tiny areas here and a little bit, but not much here. Here January 10th, the protected area is a little bit more because it's not northeast wind, it's a north or even a little bit northwest. It's exactly the situation which I was telling you, because it has this air which reaches this coast here, had to travel over warm water for quite some time, probably 200 miles or something like that. And here along the coast the water is not really warm, but outside in the Gulf, Gulf of Mexico, it's still warmer, and that helps. So same thing here, not much difference. Same date, as you can see, we had freezing temperature below freezing point, and here it is 50 degrees Fahrenheit. Think same thing here, but then the wind after that turned to the northeast, and then it drags all the cool air over this bridge like to the peninsula, and it starts getting colder in around Bel Air, Largo, Seminole, and after that Pinellas Park, after that Gulfport, and the only place which it doesn't reach is St. Pete downtown. Yeah, as you can see, same thing here, not much difference. A little bit later, mid-January, also a little bit northeast, dragging the cold air here inside. Of course, always the area here, Tampa, and especially a little bit east to Tampa, Brandon, Riverview, and so these are usually the coldest areas here. They have absolutely no protection, no warm up from the sea. I mean, during the day they are probably warmer, even on the same day they will be warmer than here, but during the night it's colder. It's just like continental climate. Same thing here, really cold spot up to the north, Crystal River. Crystal River is really a cold spot. Ocala, same thing. Yeah, same thing here, a little bit details. January 21st, still same thing, northeast. I think that was a really cold year. Can't remember what was that. 2016, yeah. A lot, really cold January 21st, really lot of cold air coming into our area. I hope I was able to cover the temperature with that. So we get a little bit to the precipitation, and precipitation is in general, they usually get much more rain in inland, like so here from Tampa, the whole thing inside, and the whole or most of the bay itself, it gets much fewer rain, and the fewest is usually here along the coast, sometimes also here. But actually this part from Bel Air or a little bit south, I would say Indian Rocks Beach, then Reddington, Madeira, St. Pete Beach, these are the driest spots in the whole area, and especially during the summertime. In wintertime it's not much there's not so much difference between coastal areas and inland areas. Usually coastal areas during the winter have a little bit more rain because of the cold fronts, and cold fronts tend to dissipate a little bit inland, but it's not always the case. So during the winter it's really not much difference, but during the summer it can be a huge difference, especially when you get a lot of west wind and not much east wind. Then you have huge differences, like here where you get all the rain in Tampa and down or to the east. Usually they say that's the I-75 and east. That's where the usually we have the seafront sea breeze collision here, and after that it moves everything east, especially during the day. So here same thing, really low. This is the, if you don't like rain, that's the area for you to be. I mean, there can be summers with almost 0 thunderstorms in this area, where you have sometimes 2 or 3 or 4 thunderstorms in this area, and in Tampa every day, and here almost nothing. So if you just like to watch thunderstorms from the distance and not having one on top of you, that's the area to go, as long as you have a good view, of course. Same thing here. I can't remember what it is, maybe a 1 month, 2 months, something like that, but you can see the difference. It can be huge. I mean, of course, there's not only advantages if you live here and have very few rain. There can be a problem with the your lawn if you have a home, and then your lawn is drying out, and usually you have just 2 irrigation days per week, and you sometimes in summer it can be a real struggle in this area, and sometimes they even limit irrigation to once a week. We had that once, and that was devastating for our lawn. I mean, it's almost impossible. If it's dry and you can just water it once a week, it's almost impossible to keep it alive. So that's one thing. I mean, if you have an apartment, not your problem, but if you have a home and a lawn, it could be a problem, because it's just too dry. These areas inland and also here, usually they don't have a problem. Also same thing here. Anna Maria can be a problem here. They have similar thing as here along the coast. They have usually very few thunderstorms. Same thing here. We see the total that was June 2016, very wet and almost no rain here. I mean, the whole area was here still super dry. What I have here, I think that's a whole 365-day rain. That's the current situation. The thing is that we had a really wet summer at the coast. This is, I think, that was the wettest summer by far along the coast. That was really unusual. We haven't seen something like that, so it's really unusual. But I could not print a map from previous years, so I just have the one from the last 365 days, and there's not much difference. Of course, I mean, the difference is still about 20 inches or 10 or 20 inches between inland and coastal areas, but not so much. Usually you would have definitely yellow along the coast in a normal year. This year was really absolutely unusual. same thing, just zoomed in. What we have here, we have a couple of situations. This is looks like it was southeast wind. So during the day, when we have east or southeast during the summer, then we don't have any rain here. The thunderstorms are usually here. It starts around at about Tampa area usually, and they, with a strong sea breeze, they are pushed inland and they are coming back in the evening. That was 8:30 in the evening. So after the sea breeze collapses, there's a building line of thunderstorms, and this is usually then with the southeast wind pushed back to the Tampa Bay area, but you only get strong storms in usually Sarasota, Bradenton, Tampa. Sometimes here, usually they even get some extra power over the bay and pushing them towards Clearwater, Palm Harbor, Tarpon Springs, and so on. And this area here is usually missed out totally, like Largo, St. Petersburg, here along this coast. This is usually missed out. It's probably here, same thing. So you can see when everything gets closer, I mean, so here in this area, most of the thunderstorms, when they're coming from the southeast, they disappear. It must be really strong east wind that we get thunderstorms in this area. Apart from that, southeast brings them just over this area here, then the bay and towards Clearwater and the whole area here, but not more. Don't know if I have more than after that. Yeah, that's it. Let's go to the next thing. Probably similar situation. As you can see, it's coming to our area, and here there's almost nothing. I mean, it stopped now, the animation, but it went all the way to the coastal areas. Here no problem, but here we get some kind of sea breeze, even probably just because of the storms here. They are dragging in a lot of dry air, or just air from the sea, which kills the thunderstorms here. Next thing here, is that an animation too? No, this is something, that's in the morning. That can happen when we get wind from the Gulf of Mexico. There are lots of thunderstorms popping up here, also Tampa Bay, and sometimes there are thunderstorms for hours in these inland areas. Usually along the coast, usually there's nothing. There can be a little bit in Clearwater, sometimes down to Bel Air, but and of course in the inland areas. But most of them, usually when we have west wind, usually 90% of the thunderstorms are not inland in the morning, but they are here on the peninsula and in the center of the peninsula, and they can last for a long time. It's crazy. They keep in the same situation, and after, usually, let's say after 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock p.m., like afternoon, they are getting pushed to inland locations, and usually they end then on the east coast. And so usually when we have wind from the west, we have thunderstorms in the morning, but not along the coast, like down in Naples and Fort Myers. We just get them inland. Here, same thing. Do we have animation here? I drag this a little bit back so you can see it starts and total misses this area here. This is something like really I think the thunderstorm city or center here, this area. Yeah, that's one of the craziest areas. Sometimes also here, St. Petersburg, that's also a crazy thunderstorm area as well. And of course, almost everything inland, also Tampa, down to Bradenton, not Anna Maria, not here along the coast, and here as well. Here's no problem. You can get a lot of thunderstorms up here. The only protected area is usually here. So what's that? Yeah, probably thunderstorms coming, and you can see they have just no chance. They produce their own sea breeze or something like that, and they kill themselves. So sometimes it's crazy to look when you think these thunderstorms are coming close, and then right at your front door they disappear. And yeah, especially when you desperate need of rain, that can be a problem. But apart from that, you may be enjoying a nice evening dinner outside where other people have a lot of rain. I have some really interesting pictures left, at least 2 or screenshots. So this is in August and 8 o'clock or almost 9 o'clock in the evening, and as you can see, I mean, there's no movie, no video. That's just a one-time screenshot, but it's easy to see that everything is flowing from the east to the west, and that was probably a big sea breeze collision in the middle of Florida these days, and everything moved back to the Tampa Bay area. The problem is only here we have the strongest sea breeze from all over Florida. There is no such thing anywhere in Florida. So what happens then? I mean, when the sea breeze already disappeared in all other areas, here we still have the sea breeze. Sometimes it keeps going till 8, 9, 10 o'clock in the evening, even when the sun has gone a long time ago. But I don't know, maybe it's something with the thunderstorms, I don't know. But anyway, it happens, and it pushes all the thunderstorms to the east. So actually what happens, I mean, the whole thing here, this is the front which moving from the east to the west, actually, at least on higher levels, but on the ground it's pushing still. Yeah, it's not so good. On the ground, a low level, it's pushing towards this side. So it's still a really heavy fight, and it keeps going, and at the end there's maybe a 10 o'clock usually, there's something like that. I delete that. So at around 10 o'clock maybe we have something here, that the front is here, and still a little bit of sea breeze left here, and the whole area here is covered in rain and thunderstorms, but not this area here. And same thing we see on the bigger picture. Here we see the sea breeze collision front here. Rest of Florida, it's across the, I mean, it's on top of the shore here, usually to the north, same thing, but here it's a different, it's totally different game. So the question, of course, is why does it happen? And I have really the impression that this sea breeze collision front tries to build a straight line from the south, very south of Florida, to the north of Florida. So during the day, usually it of course is around here, and then it moves I mean, usually when it is east wind, which I think it's probably 60 or almost 70% of the time, but usually it's not really strong. It's just a little bit of east wind, and then it pushes to the west, and it gets to this yellow line in the afternoon. So here we just have a sample within these two red lines, and it's a little bit too much tilted here to the west. So usually I would say standard line would be the yellow line, which is here on the Naples area. It covers already the beach. Sometimes it hits the beach pretty soon in the afternoon, 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon at least, latest maybe 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, a little bit later here, Venice, Bradenton or Sarasota. Same thing here in the nature coast. It happens pretty soon. So the only area where it really struggles is usually Tampa Bay, which has this huge, extremely strong sea breeze, and it protects most of the area, so here on the peninsula, from thunderstorms, except this area. Oh, it's yeah, except this really small area here, maybe sometimes St. Petersburg downtown, and here to the northeast of the peninsula. That's usually the only place which get hit by thunderstorms in the evening, and then it goes to Bel Air, usually Clearwater, but not to this location, Indian Rocks Beach, Madeira Beach, Treasure, St. Pete Beach. These are usually spread out when the east wind is not strong. Regarding the wind, something additionally here in this area, yeah, of course, you heard about the strong sea breeze. Of course, it has an impact. You can really feel it. There's really strong wind, not only when there is normal sea breeze from the west, but also when we have north wind or northeast, or wherever it comes from, we have usually a lot of wind here. You can usually find the highest wind speeds anywhere in Florida here in Tampa Bay area. So you have to deal all the time with very high wind impact. I mean, yeah, there's almost wind everywhere along the coast, of course, during the day, because of the when it's heating up here inland, a lot of sun, it's heating up, it's getting hot. Then we have almost everywhere a little bit of sea breeze, but the strongest sea breeze by far is in Tampa Bay area, especially Pinellas County, and where the peninsula is. We can go to the next area. Yeah, and of course, what we have, of course, something you should not forget are hurricanes. We don't get them often. I mean, the last major hurricane we had over 100 years ago, so it's not very often, but it can happen. We had Irma in, I think, two years ago, something like that. It was not devastating, but we were out of electricity for a whole week, and that's really long in September when it's still very hot, and yeah, nothing is working, no AC, no nothing, no water. I mean, at least no sewage, it was a mess. So be prepared for hurricane season. Starts, I think, in May or June, goes into November, all the way into November, but usually this area is protected. Some people say the Greek from Tarpon Springs are protecting this area since 100 years. Yeah. I don't know. With Irma, they didn't protect too much, but at least it was no Cat 4 or something like that. It was just a Cat 2, but still it was more than enough. I think that's my last thing. That's an animation from my last home, a time lapse when a thunderstorm was moving north from the bay towards clear water. That happens, yeah, during the summers almost every day. You are dry at the beach, and inland you get these heavy thunderstorms. So I think I'm at the end of the whole thing, yeah, of almost 40 minutes. I don't know if anybody is still here. I mean, yeah, I would say Tampa Bay doesn't have a bad weather. We don't have really a lot of really heavy storms. We don't get like F2 or F3, F4, F5 tornadoes. We sometimes get some minor like water spouts, and sometimes they build even small tornadoes. And yeah, I mean maximum maybe an F1, but usually it's less, and especially in our area, Tampa Bay doesn't really get a lot of storm. Most of the heavy storms, they are in the north, like Crystal River, Natural Coast. There they have much stronger storms than we have here in our area. We don't get a lot of hail. I think it's a really mild climate. It's a little bit it's a little bit warmer in the winter because of the water. It's a little bit cooler during spring. I mean, but in the summer, of course, it gets still very hot. I mean, the water out in the Gulf of Mexico gets up to 90 or even almost 100 degrees Fahrenheit, especially along the coast. So there's no big cool down in June, July, August, September, and usually October. We had last year, I think, the hottest temperatures in September, and even almost in October, even warmer than in June. I mean, maybe it's not every year, but it can be a really long summer here. You have to know that the humidity starts coming in from April, sometimes. Yeah, this year we had a lot of dry air till now, but now it has stopped. I would say from now till end of October we have hot and humid. Don't expect anything different. The only cool down is your AC. Okay, so that's about it. I hope I was able to help you a little bit with that. If you have any questions or anything about, just if you are moving here and you want to know something specifically, don't hesitate to leave a feedback in the comment area. I'm always happy to talk about these things as long as I'm here and have some knowledge about temperature, weather and climate in this area. And I hope you still enjoyed the video, even it was really lengthy. And if you like it, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe my channel. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.